even you go back to the votes for All-Star, it was like, okay, all of Immortals plus Jensen. He's the guy that was left out.
Well, I mean, I think last split I performed very well, so I think it was kind of deserved. And Pobelter is not really a playmaker, so people don't think too highly of him in that regard.
Whatever. Like, I really didn't care. Last split, it would just be like, you know, you guys can make some aggressive plays in the side lanes, I'll just survive. The meta is a lot more mid lane focused now, and I think I'm doing a good job of using the resources that my team is putting into me, so I think that's why I'm having most player of the game right now.
I think he does his job very well in Immortals, but any mid laner could do what he does.
I need to show like a longer period of time of me performing like this, and then people will start praising me too.
The champion, standing towards the end. Everyone else is falling, they keep on calling again. Who is the best is the question they keep on asking. I am constantly smashing while I'm giving out crash. Let's go, 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 let's go.
Let's go, everyone. It's Sunday, sunny Sunday here in LA, and the North American LCS is locked in and ready to roll. Fans are eagerly awaiting matches to get underway for an afternoon packed with their favorite teams and top competition. GBM arrived at the studio a short time ago for Energy's game against Echo Fox, meeting Froggen before heading inside. Good buddies there. Of course, they will have to face off against each other in the mid lane. TSM are going to play in our first match in the Battle Arena, arriving as a group, always in solidarity, and they're up against CLJ here, sporting their American flag colors. Stixxay and Aframu going to be in that bot lane up against Doublelift and Biofrost. Thank you for watching with us on this 4th of July weekend, everybody. I'm James Dash Patterson, joined by Mark Zimmerman and Alberto Crumzangifo to help break down the desk and the games as the day breaks through. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Excited.
Pretty good? Just pretty good?
Yeah, just pretty good.
Just pretty good.
I'm here instead of getting hot dogs and
Well, the
chilling.
4th of July is tomorrow.
I know, but like, you don't celebrate today too?
Listen, what matters was that it was Canada Day before, and that's where it's at.
Yeah, exactly. Crumbs is like, you don't celebrate July 4th?
I don't even celebrate.
You very,
Canada
you
Day,
just,
to
what
be
do you just like wear all black?
Crumbs just sits
Like
in front of his
sit in
computer
the
the whole
corner
day, yeah.
and drink water?
I just play League.
Yeah, that's lame. Anyway, right off the top,
honest,
let's talk about our match of the week with 2nd and 3rd place going head-to-head as Cloud9 takes on Immortals. This is a big one. Of course, Cloud9 did get knocked down a peg against Team Liquid on Friday night, so they're definitely hungry for a win here against Immortals, as well as the fact that they got beat by Immortals first time around 2-1.
Yeah, but Immortals continues to look very solid. In their macro game, their picks, the way that they commit, it's more reminiscent of how they were playing in the previous season, but a little bit more refined. So I'm really excited to continue this team. But again, a bit disappointed with Cloud9 dropping those games against Team Liquid, which, granted, some of them were Team Liquid played rather well, but I would have expected Cloud9 to continue rising as opposed to meet a stump.
Yeah, I think that was the big concern, was that after that first game, it didn't look like, you know, really close games. A lot of times, like, Team Liquid would jump out to an early lead and then kind of control the game. Maybe there's like a Baron Seal or something to make it closer, but at the end of the day, it was mostly Team Liquid controlling. So I think a lot of people are going to look for a stronger looking C9 for today, but it's still going to be a really tough matchup to win. Just hopefully they play better.
We saw the top of the show teasing a little bit that mid lane matchup between Jensen and Pobelter. Give me your thoughts on that one, as both of these guys have been pretty stellar throughout this split.
Well, a lot of the champions mid right now require quite a bit of attention, especially with the vision control. So whichever jungler can path more effectively and impact the mid lane will be able to carry. And they're vocal about that. It's not just a mid lane versus mid lane. It's who can find ways to impact the game. And we saw in the Team Liquid versus Cloud9 matchup how much attention they put onto Jensen right from the start. And immediately he was unable to come back. If we see that again happen in the Immortal versus Cloud9 game and any team tries that, then the matchup is going to sway completely because of how proficient these players are.
Right, I think the big thing to point out there is the champions, because we're not seeing like someone first picks Azir and then someone counter picks Zed, and then it's just like, oh, you got a solo.
It's just a 1v1.
Right, it's nothing like that. It's Victor, it's Azir, it's Ryze, it's these things that want to start moving around the map and influencing side lanes or have people come to them and gank. It's not this 1v1 thing, so it's going to be, even though it's an important mid lane matchup between the two, it's going to be about who can get that teammate ahead versus can they get themselves ahead.
All right, so junglers is playing a big role in that one. Of course, we also have to talk about the top lane. We talk about it every time we talk about Immortals. But Reignover now essentially has a split decision, right? Because we're talking about the value of the mid lane and him having to make the decision there, but that would force him to kind of break his attention towards the top lane that he's developed the synergy with Huni over the years that they played together.
And I don't think that's going to falter too much, because carry tops are very proficient. We've seen Rumble being banned quite a bit against Immortals.
True.
But the one champion that's kind of making its debut and really having an impact in a lot of these games is the Shen top, a non-carry top laner that can influence other parts of the map. And Immortals obviously is not a team that's going to care too much about the Shen, whereas Cloud9 has been playing quite a bit on it and even banning it in plenty of games. So I think that it's going to be a matter of how well can Cloud9 execute a Shen strategy if they choose to go for it, as opposed to the Immortals, who's just going to try to snowball the top lane matchup in just the regular carries, such as the Ryze.
Right, I think the Rumble and the Ryze are the two important ones because those have pretty good matchups into a lot of the kind of safer tanky picks in the top lane, like a Trundle, like a Shen.
Right.
And so if C9's on red side, I'm going to be really interested to see their pick ban because you know that Impact wants to play more of those tanky things, and Huni's always looking for the counter pick, and it's going to be a situation where you can't really ban out the biggest counters on red side unless they're willing to leave a lot of stuff open mid.
All right, well, we at least get one game of each side. We know that much in a best of 3. Now, though, I want to take a look at our player of the game leaderboard as we hit the midpoint of the split here. Some of our big-time winners here, Pobelter and Doublelift, each with 6 awards. I mean, the two of them have had stellar splits. We've already talked about Pobelter a little bit. Doublelift, though, finding his home on TSM and definitely settling in with Biofrost as his duo.
I really like that he's mostly just playing Lucian. It's a high-skill champion that you can really just outplay a lot of people on. And we've seen that time and time again. Lane dominant, strong mid-game, which is when TSM is closing out these games and just completely snowballing. So I really like that. And especially because we have seen him be capable of playing other carries as well. It's not like it's only Lucian. It's just, hey, this is my comfort champion. What are you going to do about it?
Of course, our 5-time award winners are Bjergsen, Phoenix, and Dardoch. So turning to you on this one, I mean, it's not surprising, of course, that we find players from the winningest teams at the top here, but Phoenix and Dardoch in particular for Liquid, which is the lower ranked of the 3 teams that are being represented here, these two guys have each snagged 5 awards. So that speaks to the fact that Team Liquid is winning through these guys more often than not.
I think it's just due to them being the most explosive players on the team.
Okay.
They swapped out Piglet, who probably would have snagged a couple away from his teammates, and they put in Fabi and more utility. He's playing a lot of like the Ashe, the Sivers, the Jins. And so it's really on Phoenix and Dardoch, and I like Phoenix a lot. I know a lot of people are, questioning his consistency, but I think when he has a good game and tries to take over the game, it's like almost unmatched in the league. We saw he had these games where he's flashing in 1v4 in the middle of a team fight, and like the rest of the team's trying to catch up to him, and he plays those situations more aggressively than most mid laners, and I think that's why you see him pick up a lot of awards, because when it goes right, it's like, wow.
All right, I'm going to put you both on the spot here. Anyone pick somebody not in the top 5 here that you have as a dark horse for, MVP or player of the game honors near the end of the split?
I would go
Who deserves to be up here, basically?
I think it depends how Envy's season closes out. I think if they manage to push back into top 4, potentially top 3, you might see Seraph getting some attention just because it is such a new team. No one was expecting much. He's the most obvious front runner on that team as someone who is controlling the pace of the game. We see that when he's on Fiora, gets his counter picks, or like a Lissandra, he can help in both split push and team situations. So I think if that team really does well, he could get some attention.
Crumbs?
For me, it's Lorlo. I mean, he's had a lot of games where he's actually really strong as a top laner. While lacking a little bit of consistency, a lot of times he's able to put so much pressure on the map that it's kind of unmatched, because I feel like a lot of teams underestimate how strong Team Liquid can be, and they definitely capitalize on it, and we've seen him take over games just split pushing, and even towards the end of last split in the playoffs, he was going off.
All right, so if we can find that consistency, maybe he shoots up the ladder. For some additional context on how player of the games impact this MVP split vote at the end of the split, check out our breakdown on lolesports.com. We got all the info up there for you. Now, though, it's time to check out the current standings ahead of today's matches. TSM is top of the table in first place, followed by Immortals in second. Cloud9 has sole possession of third, with fourth place shared by Liquid and Envy. Another tie between CLG and Apex. They're in that 6th place slot, and with the bottom 3 teams rounding out the league. Now for a look at the action happening on both LCS streams today. Viewers of NALCS 1 will see Counter Logic Gaming take on TSM, followed by Apex versus Phoenix 1. And make sure to tune into NALCS 2 if you want to catch Echo Fox versus Energy, and our match of the week, Immortals versus Cloud9. Immortals and Cloud9 meet in the Battle Theater for the second series today as C9 challenges Immortals second place in the standings. Now, of course, though, through the movie magic or the TV magic that we have at our disposal, we've summoned Reginald onto the desk. Unfortunately, Hotshot GG is out due to illness. We were supposed to have the both of them. That's okay. Crumbs will sub in and help me with some asking of the questions. But my first one to you, Reginald, is TSM out to a 9-0 start, having beat every single team in the first half of the split. This is the best start that your organization has ever had to a split. How does that feel?
It feels great, and I'm really proud of the coaching staff, the players, for putting in their hard work. Going to Korea to boot camp right before the season start, and really not taking a vacation. And so overall, I'm really proud of the guys. As you guys all know, it doesn't really matter how well you do in the season. It's about playoffs, and I really enjoy the hype, and I'm happy for it. But at the same time, I'm kind of scared, right? Because I want our players to do well playoffs, not the season. And, if you look at last season, Immortals, they went 17-1, and all their hype was attributed to their coaching staff. But at the end of the day, they went to playoffs and failed miserably. And so I just don't want that to be the same for TSM.
So what's the fix then? What do you learn from Immortals' story from Spring Split, and how do you make sure that that doesn't happen to your roster?
It's something that's happened to our roster multiple times throughout, the last few years, where you go into this mode where you're pretty much unstoppable, you play really well, and you're winning just purely based off of individual play. And you look at IMT games, Hooney's just stomping, Ranover's just stomping, Turtle plays well, Pobelter's playing well. And you get into this mode where you stop caring to improve, you stop caring to expand your champion pool, and you get stuck in this mindset where, why do I have to do something else if I'm already winning with what I'm doing now? Mm-hmm. And that's where the coaching staff plays in, where they have to bring the players back down to earth. They have to make sure the players are focused, make sure that the players are playing the right champions, and make sure that they don't get complacent. And I didn't see that on Immortals last split. So for this split, every single time we win after an LCS match, I'm always like, hey guys, in our chat, I'm like, hey guys, remember, it's not about our season matches, it's about playoffs. So I hope that's enough to remind them. I went through a lot of that myself as a player, and so I'm hoping that we don't go into playoffs really cocky this year.
So as TSM entered playoffs last split, they saw a surge of improvement, and it was credited to Weldon and the coaching staff kind of getting in there. But I think that as a team, a lot of the motivation comes from the players themselves, and how well can the coaching staff continue that innate motivation that the players have all the way till the end. Since you've mentioned that your goal is to reach the end towards the Worlds and playoffs, how does the coaching staff help the players maintain that motivation for not taking that break and going for so many hard hours of work, where we've seen players around the age that 21, 22, they kind of burn out and they're not able to really give their best every single time. But here in TSM, we've seen them trying to do that for months ago and keep going. So how does the coaching staff, particularly Parth and Weldon, assist the players in maintaining that motivation?
So for last split, it was a little different, right? Because we got rid of our whole entire coaching staff mid-split, and I stepped in to work with the players. But it's really important to have a figure that the players respect. And because I've been a player for 5 years, and I was a shot caller for our team, and I was very successful as a player, it's a lot easier for me to go in there and fix problems because the players are really willing to listen to me. They have a lot of respect for me. So it was really easy for me to go in there, understand the game, and help them figure out their problems in order to do better at playoffs last split. Overall, Bjergsen and Doublelift are the leaders and captains of our team, and whatever they do reflects onto the other players. And Bjergsen and Doublelift have insane drive. They really stepped it up last split. When Yellowstar wasn't shot calling on our team, Doublelift stepped up and did most of the shot calling for our team during playoffs. Yeah, so Doublelift, he was telling me, I can't do it. I've never been a shot caller. I've been a mechanical player my whole entire life.
Right.
How do I do this, Andy? And I'm like, Double, I believe in you. You got to do it. You gotta shot call, because he wasn't effective in lane. Doublelift, as a player, he's always won based off of his superior mechanics, playing Vayne, playing high mechanical champions where he outplays his opponent. And now he's in a role where he's not winning the game through his pure mechanics, but he's winning through shot calling. So I went in, I helped the team with overall team strategy, and he took it upon himself and the whole entire team. Every single morning, they would watch VODs for 2 hours before practice. Out of every single team, no other team does that. And, last split was not about individual play for us. It was about coming together and playing well as a team. we lost to CLG at the last match, but you have to look at it from the whole season standpoint. We were 6th place, and we went to playoffs, and we did so well.
Right.
I was really proud of the guys.
Huge improvement out of them from that split.
Yeah.
Of course, it's carried over to this one. I do now want to turn to the matchup that we have today. You're playing CLG. Did beat them in the first series that you played in the split. That, of course, was 5 weeks ago, so some time has passed. But it's kind of interesting. Most of the time when we come into a TSM-CLG matchup, there isn't necessarily a favorite. A lot of times the teams seem very evenly matched. Here, though, I think almost everybody would probably call TSM a very clear favorite in today's best of 3. So for you on the outside, though, how does that change the way that you guys approach the matchup? Is it higher stress because now if you lose, it's a bigger deal? Is it less stress because you're more confident? How are you approaching this series against CLG?
To be perfectly honest, since the start of the season, I handed a lot of things off to Weldon and Parth. So they're in charge of the players' complete mindset. But I have complete confidence that they're going into the game with the right mindset. Weldon and Parth actually. Weldon and Parth has done a fantastic job this split. I'm really hoping it continues because from my standpoint, it's hard to tell how effective they are right now. But from what I see, they're really effective. I'm hoping that they come in with the right mindset. I am pretty sure that every single game we come in and play, we're not like, hey, we're the complete upper, like we play like we're the underdogs essentially. We don't come in being really cocky. We always look out to play the right champions every single week. So with the mindset, I think that we're just coming into it as any other match. We're gonna go and try our hardest. I think that CLG does have a pretty good shot.
Okay.
It's not as low as everyone thinks. I think it might be a 60-40 to our favor.
Right.
But at the same time, we had a couple shaky matches this split against Echo Fox. Against P1, we beat them, but the first game, it wasn't as clean.
Gotcha.
So it's really important that we stay with the mindset that anyone could beat us.
So one thing that I've noticed that TSM kind of does differently that other teams aren't doing is they have a big sense of camaraderie. The players really seem to be friendly with each other, and that's something that's been brought from usually traditional sports, kind of have that attitude with players, bonding as a team and bonding for the love of the game. How much do you attribute that to the TSM success, as well as do you think it's really necessary for a team to have that sort of atmosphere where the team just really enjoys playing with each other and respects each other, not just as players, but as people?
Yeah, that's the type of environment that we've always created, even with recruitment. And every single season I do recruitment, and it's really important for me to recruit players that are down to earth, that are humble, that are willing to learn. Because this game changes so much, you always, one point you're the best in this patch, and it's an assassin patch, and you're super good at assassins, and you do super well. And the next patch can just be about mages, and that's totally not in your element, not in your playstyle, and you have to start from the ground up. You have to recognize that now I'm the underdog. I have to do the improving. I have to be better, and I'm holding my teammates down. When you recruit players that think they're better than God, that they're the absolute best, then they're not going to improve. They're going to be like, no, I'm good at assassins. We should stick to assassins. There are a couple of players in their careers that always force their team. Actually, I don't want to call player names. I was going to.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. There are a couple of players in their careers where they force champions on their team, and it's not the right meta, and they end up losing their team playoff games. There was a player on Cursed, that forced a Kali onto their team, right? There we go.
No idea
And
who
they
that
lost
is.
playoff, and they lost playoffs just because they want to play off-meta champions,
Right.
or so I try to structure my team around making sure that players are willing to work together because this is a team game. You look at SKT. Everyone attributes Faker for being an absolute god. The game right now is more of a team game than ever.
Yeah.
So every single time someone does well, it's because your teammates are supporting you to be able to do that. And when the credit goes to one single player, it's really easy to get a big ego. But I try to really instill the teamwork.
And ultimately, it shows with
Yeah.
the TSM roster, especially this one. These guys have had smiles on their faces when they're winning, and they definitely look to be working together. I got to push us ahead. I want to ask you if there's anything else you'd like to say. I know that Hotshot is not here. Generally, we get a little bit of trash talk between the two of you, but in terms of this matchup, you said 60-40, so maybe cautiously optimistic about it. But any final words on this matchup in particular before we get started?
Well, I'd like to say that we're going to stomp CLG. I think it's going to be a close match. Hotshot's obviously nervous. He didn't show up today.
That must be what it is.
Called in last minute, thinking he was sick. So maybe we have a higher chance than I think.
Okay, I love it. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us today. Best of luck to the team. Feel better, Hotshot. I will take you at your word that you were actually sick and not scared of the interview. So we wish him the best as well. I think we're all excited to get the matches underway. So now it's time to send it over to the casters to get us started.
Thank you very much, Dash. Happy Sunday, lords and ladies. Thank you for joining us. I'm Irving DeBiz III, and my partner in crime for this NAL Classico matchup is none other than Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler.
Oh, baby. I like how the trash talk has evolved there. Much more subtle now.
It is.
Well, maybe not subtle, but...
I don't want to, but I'm going to anyways. So you know the history about this match. You know the rivalry coming up is CounterLogic Gaming versus TSM. These two teams have faced off in the last two NA finals and are finding themselves head-to-head on the Rift once more. But this time, TSM are coming in full throttle. It looks like nobody can stop them.
A bit of a different story this time around because TSM, they've been unstoppable all split long. As I said on the desk, they've defeated every single team in the North American LCS, and they do not show signs of slowing down. Unlike their performance in the spring split, TSM, they are coordinated now. They're much more proactive, and they're playing really well around Bjergsen, who has returned to his throne as the king of the North American mid laners. You know, Jensen has been knocking at the door trying to topple him, but unsuccessful thus far.
Who gets the vote this year? TSM certainly a dominant force coming into this matchup, whereas CounterLogic Gaming still finding their footing after a rough first half of the summer split here.
Yeah, and you can see them there. They found their power in the MSI jerseys. They're trying to channel the success they previously had, but you're right, CLG, they have had a struggle in the beginning of this season. However, you know, they won their most recent matches versus Phoenix One and Energy, and hopefully this will give them a boost of confidence because both of those series were 2-0s in CLG's favor.
Right.
You know, who he's been looking better yesterday on Vladimir and Rise. Those are very key champions for him. Probably will be focused in the pick ban phase this time around, and the chances may be small for him getting those again. But it's another thing that CLG have talked a lot about. You know, they're struggling to play through the mid lane a little bit, and they're trying to learn still, you know, midway through the season. But one thing I can say for sure is that TSM definitely know how to play through the mid lane. Bjergsen puts pressure there just by being in the game himself. And if there's a team that's going to teach CLG how to play through mid lane, it might very well be TSM today.
That's true. They'll see if they can multitask, take a little bit away from him, take that glory wave that he's getting so much back of, and then give him some of their own medicine. Like you say, though, CLG are showing some improvement in their most recent matches, and hear who he describes the current situation.
We're losing lots of games, and we're still we're lost right now. But recently, 2 or 3 days before Scream started to go pretty well, and then everyone started to be pretty positive, and then almost same as the last split or at MSI when we were positive. So it's just a matter of the time, how fast we can get to the level that we were before.
How fast indeed. I mean, everyone's pointing to the mid lane. So many people are always just, Huhi, you know, that's the main guy. The meta's shifting more towards mid lane. But it really is all about teamwork. As Reginald kept re-emphasizing now, it's more about teamwork now than ever. And if we're talking about Champion Select, Stixay has not picked up the 3 main new AD carries, those utility Ashe, Sivir, and Jhin.
That's right.
They haven't won any games with those yet. So maybe there's a lot of different factors, obviously, that are going to go.
Kind of stuck in their ways. Hopefully teamwork can make the dream work. And now we're going to go over the starting lineups to get this match underway. That means first up, it is CounterLogic Gaming. That means it's Darshan in the top lane, Xmithy roaming through the jungle, Huhi trying to control the mid lane, Stixay at 80 carry, and Afromu bringing out the plays from support with Coach Zix.
And facing them on the Rift will be TSM. Up top is Haunter. In the jungle, Spenskaren. Mid, Bjergsen, 80 carry, double lift. Support Biofrost and Coach Parth on stage with them.
Hopefully CLG can do without having Hotshot GG. Obviously bedridden today from being sick. Reginald behind the team, sporting the jersey. But like you said, CounterLogic Gaming trying to bring the strength from MSI back with the jerseys. And who he says it's all about a matter of time. Has that time happened since we spoke with
them? And you know what's brought CLG their success was their super emphasized focus on teamwork and team play when they rebuilt their entire team, when they got rid of double lift and brought in Huhi and Stixay. A lot of their success was due to how well these guys worked with the rest of the team, and that's what brought them success at MSI. They're trying to return to that now, both physically with the jerseys as well as in game.
In every way possible. It looked like they were having fun. Huhi getting one last yawn out before the competition begins. And we'll see what the bans are. The Swain actually banned out here for Haunter. He's been Aurelia Swain, but they choose that for the worst of the wear.
Yeah, 13 straight games, Haunter has played either Swain or Aurelia. Everyone always points out Double Lift. Okay, he's playing Lucian only. But Haunter's only been, he's a 2-trick pony, basically, if people are going to try and, tunnel vision on that. But that really just comes down to TSM have a very clear plan for how the game is supposed to be played right now. And there's just that checklist of champions they go down. So there hasn't been much variety, and they haven't had to have much variety because it's so hard to ban any one person on TSM out. They're all so versatile. There it is, though. That's not banning out Bjergsen, but it is Bjergsen's most played champion for this split, stealing away the Azir. It's something that Huhi has put a bunch of work on. He has trained very hard after he had some highlight blooper plays at MSI.
Yeah.
He took that upon himself. He's trained with the champion very much, and he feels very confident in it, and the rest of the team are backing him up with it.
Just a few of those all Emperor Divide misses, but those were calibrating
That's
ults.
the thing, though. Like, it sticks in people's minds. Smithy there, the guy on camera as well, has had the same thing happen. You can't let the community perception get in your mind. You can't let one mistake deter you from playing a champion. You got to get back up on that horse or back up on that Emperor and go right back versus Bjergsen, which is the stiffest competition in the mid lane. So this will not be a light game to play that assassin. Plus, Svenskeren on the other side, if we jump over TSM side, early draft here for the Elise, one of the most high-pressure junglers, especially for attacking mid lane, because there's so many angles you can cocoon from and repel into the lane.
We see that combined with the Sivir comp already. We'll see how TSM rounds that out. The Braum to slow things down. Hopefully that Glacial Fissure disengage the fight. They actually have quite a way to stop TSM from getting in. The LeBlanc and the Bard locked up, though, for TSM.
There it is. They talked about it a little bit on the desk. Oh, it's not about Azir and then counter pick Zed to try and 1v1 kill him. Hey, it is. It's LeBlanc. Bjergsen LeBlanc, nonetheless, trying to take that assassin and looking for the kill pressure. If you didn't see that before with the Elise pick, it's so clear now. This is going to be Svenskeren and Bjergsen trying to take down Huhi early on. So he's going to have to play defensively. He's going to have to try and dodge these cocoons. There's a lot of things you can do, mind games with Azir. Incarnation, Jensen was the one displaying this yesterday. I got stuck in the past there, actually, for a second. But he's displaying some of the mind games, delaying when you're going to go for your dashes, save your flash, things like that. But the point that you brought up earlier, Riv, about the Braum lock-in with the Azir is definitely worth re-mentioning, because the double wall is very, very secure for team fights in the later in the game. However, TSM have the best early game stats of any team in the North American LCS. The fastest game times and the largest early game leads.
I think Mark was saying something about Callista just the other day. If you were to see another one, what would it be? Why not still Callista? I think that was the way it went. Aframu is going to lock in the Jax for Darshan, but again, you were talking about the 80 carries, and now he goes over to Callista instead of those main.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about in this champion select with CLG, because there's so many very clear trends with them as well as TSM. The Jax for Darshan is undefeated, 5-0 so far in Summer Split. Meanwhile, Stixxay, that lack of the new utility 80 carries that we talked about is still there. He's not playing, or they're not getting wins on the Jhin, Ashe, and Sivir. Now he's going back to the Callista, and this is more reminiscent of stuff that CLG played at MSI, save for trading out a split-pushing top laner, and Darshan used to have the Maokai when they were over in China. On the other side, though, no surprise there. Swain was banned out. The other one we mentioned, Riv, Aurelia locked in for Haunter. He's going to take it up there to try and go toe-to-toe with Darshan.
I'm going to love this battle. Also see if TSM does the early jungling with Svenskeren to kind of get Haunter a bit ahead. He wasted TP. There's so much to watch in this early game. And we got Bjergsen on his first LeBlanc of the summer, bringing that out, something he would bring out almost every game in the past.
And they talked about versatility as well for TSM. It's not that they only have the one strategy or they only have the single champion that they're playing. It's up to the other teams to push them off that single strategy and push them off onto different champions. Opening up with a blind pick Azir is something that's going to do that. TSM are going to jump on that, try and counter it. They have the early round Elise and capitalize on that with an assassin for Bjergsen.
I am excited to get this one underway. This rivalry runs deep. Show off your allegiance on Twitter using the hashtag CLGWin. or the hashtag TSM win. And we'll keep tabs on the fan vote throughout the match. Keep them coming, keep it changing. If you feel like it's swaying and you find love for a different team in this game, it might happen. There's going to be emotions running high. We're almost on the riff. It's CLG versus TSM. We're going to be into a barn burner right quick.
Yes, they are. One of my favorite things about the rivalry, when the chants start to meld and change between CLM, TSG. The thing about this rivalry is, yes, we say it every time, it is the oldest League of Legends rivalry. Two of the first teams ever created, and both of them have had success for very long periods of time, ups and downs. But it's all about how every single new player that's been brought onto these teams, none of them have any of the remaining original players left, but the new players, each one that joins this team, when they put on that jersey, they put just as much passion into the rivalry as the last player.
Filling big shoes as you step onto either one of these teams. In the beginning, created as friends apart, then CLG, Hotshot, and TSM Reginald step back, say, I'm going to make a team that can beat your team. And we still have that till today.
It's like an anime almost, and they're still in the 5th season of the anime now.
Except we get the answer to the episode now instead of 7 episodes later.
All right, well, Biofrost there on your screen getting the deep words in answer to CLGs. This is something that CLG do so often. Deep words, looking for the lane swap, trying to get information early on. Biofrost, though, that guy, he's the newest member to don one of the jerseys in this rivalry. And man, has it fit him like a glove, working so well with Double Lift and having one of the best rookie seasons we've seen in a long time.
A little love tap to start things off. Very nicely done.
Yep, neither of them getting their Thunderlords proc, though. That is the biggest difference in the early stages. Here comes Aframu. Early attention mid. We thought that would be the case, and true to form. CLG just trying to make a showing of strength here. Yes, we are behind Huhi. We've got his back. Ooh. The answer. No exchanges. Everyone just acknowledging support presence in lanes.
I wonder how they're going to play this as well, because we always see Huhi want to push up, push up. If that's something they can just time and say his wave's going up, he's going to want to just get one extra one. They can start attacking that. Already trying to make it hard for him so he can't even push up here.
Yeah, the thing about lane swaps, though, is that it does make it so predictable what side the enemy team is going to come from. And both of these mid laners did a good job. Back off to your stronger side. There it is, our first Thunderlords proc. They both get to trade it, though. And the trade goes actually fairly even.
Yeah. I like that for Huhi even, because you get the passive out. You don't have to wonder about the next attack if Beerus goes low.
Yeah. If we check in on how the lane swaps are going, outside of the trading in mid lane, it's all about the neutral camp focus. A slight lead here for Smithy on the Nidalee is faster than Elise, so not due to any really misplays there from Svenskeren. Just champion difference. Smithy, actually, you would expect some difference here with Nidalee getting ahead a bit quicker, but he's actually 2 camps or 1 camp and a half, so doing a good job executing even after the nerfs to Nidalee. Makes another pass towards mid, but these are just
adding the pressure. You don't have the most crowd control to take down Bjergsen.
Stealing the small ones is a big deal to me, actually. People always are like, oh, counter jungler's all about the large monster, and yes, it still is, but there have been slight increases to the value over the past couple seasons in the mid-season changes, or the preseason changes to more value on the small ones. It is definitely very worth for Huhi to steal away the small chickens. And he opts there even to get the Thunderlord's last hit rather than getting that last hit on the minion right next to him. Focusing on champion health. Going toe-to-toe with Bjergsen is actually working out, staying up there in health. Both of them out of potions and close in CS.
See where this roam takes Biofrost. He's good, just picking up more chimes, making sure he's getting more meeps and to be that much more aggressive.
Never heard so many screams and woos for a missed level 4 Nidalee spear.
We LCK now.
People are so excited. We're just ready to jump on it. No blood yet. Lane swaps working out so far for CLG, and Smithy gets to make another pass because of his early tempo lead on Svenskeren, but a very leading spear. Darshan gets a stun though!
Back and forth, Haunter, he has some time to dance this one out, but it looks like it's going to be a first blood. Haunter valiantly doing as much damage before he goes down, and it's going to be Darshan to finish this one off. Haunter almost 2v1ing.
Smithy making the pass here all the way through mid lane, got off to such a quick start on the Nidalee. Svenskeren was back in base purchasing, and he makes the drop down there on the long lane of Haunter. A bit greedy, no vision, not respecting Smithy at all. Can Smithy actually get out here? A bit of greed for him.
Oh, wait, he's gonna go. Oh, the repel. He's only got Smithy or Darshan to go to, and Darshan couldn't close the gap. He would have had to quickly think to leap onto Smithy, but it was all too scary in the end. Anyway.
If he had gone on Smithy, you have to get that kill, because if you go on Smithy, you're for sure dead. And it was very risky. I don't know if he would have been able to get the kill. At best, it would have been a 1-for-1 trade. So he aborts mission, ends up burning his flash, and TSM need to regroup, because that looks like a little bit of chaos for TSM early on after the unexpected first blood on Haunter. Remember yesterday, Haunter was camped. You know, there's a lot of pressure put on him, and CLG looking like they want to repeat, given the circumstances there of him presenting an overextended Aurelia. Darshan getting first blood is one of the worst things for TSM, and plays right into the strategy that CLG love, that 1-through run that you know and associate with them.
Absolutely. Pushed up a bit too far. If they can start breaking this, maybe get the Herald over to Darshan and make that split even more effective. But now we trade the second tiers. This is where a lot of teams will fall behind with TSM. Don't choose something right away and lose their turret without any gain. It looks like CLG should be able to trade evenly here.
Yep. Looks like they're doing a decent job of getting CS for the top laners as well. Aurelia does have an easier time of trying to CS under here. Svenskeren actually heading over, trying to help and allow Haunter some room to go in for those CS, but same thing for Smithy. And I have to say, yes, it's easier for Nidalee to move across the map than other junglers, and she has a quicker clear speed, but Smithy is playing this early game very intelligently.
Nice little attack there by Styx. They actually pulled the turret tether, so it didn't hit Afro Mu. Mid laners come back both with that Negatron cloak and refillable potions on the buy. The discrepancy is one more ring to actually the ability tome inside of Bjergsen. So they definitely know they're going to be taking damage while they're farming away. Junglers helping the side lanes. Like you said, things are a little bit more predictable here in the lane swap. So Luki and Bjergsen know they can kind of go toe-to-toe every so often. 59 to 58 in CS there. Practically even, but that gold lead to Counter Logic Gaming of 1,000 in the beginning.
Yeah. Plus their sweet cannon minion and a couple extra range for Bjergsen to pick up. So he'll have a very, very small lead, but both of them have been able to get that Negatron breakpoint, which is what you want early on in most of these mid lane trades, so that you don't run the risk of getting 100%. And both of them still have all summoners as well. Remember, this is a teleport LeBlanc, which is a fairly recent thing. That's become extremely common, but it is gonna. He's Aphromu there. What you hope for, you know, your highest percentage of success is that you just force the smite. You know, kind of a panic move or something from TSM, so they can't give the debuff over. Best case scenario is obviously that you steal it, but pretty close. No cigar there for Aphromu. Much like Graves, he's going to now head down into the bottom lane with Smithy as well. It looks like they might actually decide to try and control the Scuttle Crab first and just do some baiting here with the pink wards.
Usually you see TSM doing this first. They're the ones to get that second bottom tier, then they'll be going back for the dragon. None of that has happened, so it seems now both teams could meet here. Teleport up for Darshan as he makes his way back to the top lane, and the Scuttle battle goes to Svenskeren. A little bit of a smite.
Oh, Hui!
Emperor's Divide, one turret shot for Bjergsen. He's got to figure out which is the right one, and he has chosen correctly. They're going to get the lockdown, custom blows to hit. Bjergsen gets away with 2 passive shots left. It's now into Aphromu, and they quickly make a turn. CLG's forced to retreat. 1 kill for TSM.
Oh, which team first? The first team is CLG, and Aphromu makes a great play. However, the entire TSM team come and turn it around. Double F pops, the Sivir ultimate, speed boost arrives, and they punish Aphromu. Oh, can Smithy get in there? He's got flashed. It might have been his death when he went in there and traded again for a 1-for-1, but I say you go for that, sucker, because double F slow on mana, but he doesn't want to go into it. A little bit wary of the fog of war
his
here.
slalom through the minions here saves his life.
Yeah, so look at this too. At this point, if you look at the mini-map, Smithy's with the other 3. If they all move up now, then they would have got there in time, but Smithy jumped onto the red buff. He was just a hair behind, and he makes the decision to stay. So actually, if you look at it, yes, TSM, they did have the Sivir speed boost to get there a little bit sooner, but CLG, if they had immediately communicated that skirmish, if Huhi was like, this guy's fighting me, come now, and all 3 of them immediately reacted, they might have been able to at least save Aphromoo and maybe even convert that kill. But that was a split second right there that determined a lot for the mid lane. All of TSM immediately pop the speed and get up there.
And that's what we were looking for Huhi as well. Is he going to be hitting those ults in mid lane, especially on the LeBlanc?
He hit it.
Very, very hard to lock down. Capitalizes, but unfortunately Bjergsen just finds his way out of the fight. Haunter looking for aggression here on the death of that minion, has the Blade Surge back. He's just playing the kind of harass game, making sure Darshan has a tough time.
Ooh, spear, that one hit.
I love the spear love going on right now.
Yeah, I know, right? Nidalee is one of those champions that always carries a lot of risk. And so many people have played with the old full AP Nidalees that anytime you see a spear flying, you just have that reaction that's been built into you of death is coming. That ward will not evolve.
No.
But man, yeah, I have to say that one little difference there was, you know, TSM actually coming out ahead in team play, team focus, with them immediately reacting to some aggression. Obviously, the aggressor was Bjergsen, so maybe it allows Bjergsen the comfort of being able to make the call and tell them, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start this fight. And it has to be a little bit more reactionary for CLG, and they have to see the confrontation and then make the choice to come up. But
yeah,
up until that point, you know, Smithy was everywhere exactly that CLG needed him, and that's a big reason why they had the early lead before. But made the choice to stay on red. Not quite sure if they could capitalize. Check back in with this 1v1 though, Riv.
Whoa, Transcendent Blades, that's Haunter's healing a bit. Equilibrium comes in, he tries to get more Transcendent with the lockdown on Darshan, so no more damage comes through. What an outplay from Haunter and a leave for Bjergsen's kill.
Another coordinated team play, communication there with TSM, calling in Bjergsen. Darshan doesn't want to flash over to try and answer. He was a bit lower already. Not quite sure if he could have gotten it by answering the flash, or if there was maybe a couple seconds left on it, but I think the option was there. Anyways, great outplay there from TSM. They used that teleport pointed out from LeBlanc and grab another kill for themselves, evening up the gold. They've made up for the early CLG lead. However, CLG, remember they built their comp around this late game Azir. Braum has an extra wall, and Stixxay is going to be able to have a lot of room to work with. That Azir provides a lot of zoning for both of them.
Biofrost is saying, I see you.
Miracle Steal here from Biofrost? That would be the only way. He went for the early. It was like, maybe they're going to try and combo it early. That's what he was thinking.
Yep.
Because you know that if they wait till it's low, he can easily just wait till it's in smite range. And there's no way support Bard can put out that much damage. The one way that you do get that steal is if Smithy tries to combo with other abilities, doesn't hit it at smite range, and then you snag it because he miscalculated, but not the case. So let's take a look here. Darshan does have flash from the very beginning of this. Okay, so that's not going to be the one. But he's winning up until now. Turns it with the stun, which is how Aurelia fights go. And then, yeah, he was only one hit away from dying again, so that was just a good play there from Haunter. And after further review, I think that it's good that Darshan saved his flash in that scenario, and just he was resigned to his death because he had been fully committed. Haunter pulled off the bait, and it was fully taken.
Look at that.
I think they miscounted.
Won't
Think
fool
words
me
of 4,
again.
guys. You got to start from 4, not 3.
Oh,
red buff
Smithy
fight.
should have it. No, he does not. That goes over to Sven Skaren. So now TSM says you're going to grab dragons. We're going to get in your face a little bit and try to take away your jungle.
And this has been sort of classic TSM for the summer split here, moving in for those red buff steals. Sven Skaren's been empowered by the success of his laners, and TSM have used this all split long, pressing up, you know, trying to get this ward line that you see here, first line of wards, and then going in for the buff steals, trying to force their opponents to collapse into their own jungle. And it does work there. They're able to come away with the steal, even without a giant gold lead or tempo lead here from TSM. Able to pull off the same play. Blue going to be handed off to Bjergsen at this moment as well. See if he can try and create something in that mid lane. He did get kill credit, remember, from the earlier skirmish. So even though they're close in CS, Bjergsen does have the completed Morellonomicon.
All right, looks like we could actually get some cross-map action. I don't think we're going to see Xmithy and Afro take that fight down bottom, but this top lane fight, Haunter then stands toe-to-toe this time, and he actually gets the victory by himself. He's going to have a solo lane of experience now, catapult himself in CS in the bot lane. They don't have to act on anything.
Yep, that is going to go from bad to worse for CLG, because this matchup is very much that race to Trinity Force. Now Haunter is going to get his first. Darshan, on that back, would have wanted to be able to have combine costs, but he only has the 3 parts. And you gain so much efficiency and stats when you actually get to combine the entire item that it's a huge break point, not to mention the level lead for Haunter now, not to mention the CS lead that he's going to have. Darshan going to save his teleport. There's a big minion wave. He's not going to use it to get up there. We'll see if that teleport actually means the difference in a play down the line. Because that's a huge double minion wave up at the top turret that he's going to lose out on right now.
He got 2 of those minions.
Yeah, and Haunter is 2 levels completely above him at the moment. Darshan cannot take any more of those fights. They need to have extra backup for him. He can't stand alone. At least he got his fully combined Trinity Force. You know, he waited in there while dead, was able to get the combine cost. So things are not as dire as they seem. There isn't a huge item lead. It's just the extra corruption potion, which definitely will help Haunter out in those trades. Have we seen him try and get low to get his stun off, then use your potion charges to heal you back up and get the extra damage as well.
Seems like it was almost trying to draw Wuhi's ultimate. Biofrost in a bad spot. Tempered Fate's there. Flashes away and hits Xmithy on the journey. He may be able to get out. He will get out as he makes it to the minion line, but we're not done yet. It's Stixxay. He has the ultimate. Fates could be brought back if they need to save that for a move or to disengage this one. Glacial Fissure goes out and spreads Sven Skaren and the rest of the team. Stixxay charging forward, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to match the damage necessary. Bjergsen looking for the double. Mimic goes out and Stixxay gets a Q ×2. Almost goes down to that. Looks like CLG will have to retreat.
Another quick collapse from TSM. And CLG, even though they got the jump over there, Biofrost with a magical escape over with the Bard. Barely goes down, but... And they're able to get the Raptor kill on top of that to add insult to injury here. Sven Skaren still keeping up that counter jungling, and look at this. Even though the Nidalee got off to such a great start, Sven Skaren's now ahead in levels. He's been able to catch up. TSM turning this one back around, play by play. All about the teamwork for them as well. And the next target is Darshan, sending everybody up here for him.
Oh no. That TP's down too, so he's got a long walk to wherever he goes. Xmithy tries to right the wrong and puts himself in a bad spot. Now TSM get 2 and top turret.
It's one of those games where you start to feel like TSM have more members than CLG playing the game.
It almost seems like that, doesn't it?
But it's because of the teamwork. Coordinated plays back-to-back from TSM. CLG now on the chase, though. Double lift gets hit.
It's going to be a stop back. Cosmic Binding not really up since they just used it at the turret. Double lift puts the spell shield on. Can he be taken down? He finds the brush denial. Takes him down. Throws the Q out. The kill over to Biofrost, who he now has walked into a bad spot. Does he want to stay here? And he actually is going to shift out of this one. Top lane being pushed by Sven Skaren and Haunter right now, so they get 2 turrets for their trouble in the bot lane.
Perfectly played by Double Lift. They sit around, they first exhaust Stixxay. He waits out the exhaust. 1 stack away from Braum. Passive hitting is very easy to see, so Double Lift can get the easy spell shield. Let's take another look at this though. So he knows they're coming through. They're waiting for Stixxay. Immediate exhaust. Then, right as the passive is about to proc, he sees it coming, flashes into the brush is the big part though. because there's no vision for CLG. Stixay can't get his last auto. Doublelift gets the kill. The collapse is first here again from TSM as Bjergsen gets down there, and Huhi can't clean anything up because everyone else was dead already.
Adam.
And things looking up for CLG. There you go. The Scuttle Crab win.
I'll hit the dragon. Make it do damage. Monster leaving that top lane. Looks like they actually want to get down the last bit of defense here in the mid lane with him having that focus right now. Top wave is somewhat pushing for CLG, so they can actually let that just build up and be nice. It looks like it actually might be a little love for Infernal here. The resulting fight may actually mean either team's mid turret.
It is the best snowballing Drake. Perfect for TSM at this moment to tack onto their gold lead. Now their offensive builds are going to mean that much more. They even have 4 offensive builds here. So Infernal means even more for this snowball than usual.
Sun Disc put up. Obviously, TSM's going to have to go all the way around the outside, and CounterLogic Gaming making TSM march to the beat of their drum now. Push mid lane and kind of dictate that. Yes, Infernal did go to TSM, but they lost quite a bit of structure damage.
Yep, CLG still fighting here. They're not going to give away the Drake for free. They take back the mid turret. One objective for 1, trying to make it 2 here.
Another double sigil coming from Bjergsen. 3-man, there are definitely killable targets as they pop out. The boomerang and distortion combo coming in absolutely takes down Aphromoo right away. They still have a chance to follow here. Stixay using his blades, gonna get a little bit more room as Smithy gets caught up in the end as the caboose to the fight. And TSM lose no members, gaining 4 as CLGs and kills 11-1. And they're turning towards the Baron.
Yep, CLG were in desperation mode. They're trying to get back into this game with a strong push down mid. Really quick collapse from TSM, though. They're able to chase them out. I don't know if they can finish this Baron, but Haunter is elected to tank it, and they do have the rest of the damage. That will be Baron on top of the Infernal Drake, on top of the gold lead, and TSM making a statement in game number 1, keeping up with those early game numbers.
A lot of 20-minute Barons for TSM, whether they're attempting it or winning it off of huge team fights to give them way more control than they need on the map.
Yep, the stats don't lie, Riv. TSM coming into this match have an 80% Baron and Drake control rate for those giant objectives.
That ult.
Ridiculous. And there it is, the follow-up from TSM. Sivir speed boost means they get to chase you down as well. Huhi tries to ult the wall early to dissuade them from following, but it's not going to work. Spend point blank flash cocoon there. And the cleanup is complete for TSM. 22 minutes in, Baron push down mid.
Putting much too much security and having just that one turret behind them, and then giving too much room to TSM. You have a whole lane to be chased down still.
It's so hard to fight against TSM right now.
Oh my word, even with that cloak, getting crushed.
They talked about it so often. Reggie said they haven't even taken a vacation. You know, it's all about the hard work for TSM members. They practice every single day. Bringing back MSI memes. This is what could have happened if you didn't take a vacation.
It's been mostly cheers. Now we get a groan.
Yeah. It's a little. It's an old one. It's an old meme, and it's a European-based one as well. So TSM though with so much control right now. It's what we've come to expect from them in Summer Split.
Kills across the board. The only death here to Haunter. He's on the board clearing mission.
Yeah, I was just going to let that one go. He's got his eyes on the prize here.
Still able to hit Aphromoo for pretty good damage. It looks like they're just going to slowly walk out of this one. They have Doublelift up top, Haunter pushing the bot lane. They're really just looking to see if they can get any major summoners or spells out of CLG in defense. But it looks like they're actually going to take this one as is. Do they really want Huhi? That's on the hunt. He throws down Emperor's Divide, but everything goes right around it, the wall. Man. It does nothing, just like the goggles.
Biofrost caught him right on the coattails there, barely snagging it. That earns them the mid turret as well, though. TSM just skipping ahead to end game now, 24 minutes in. Baron push on the inhibitor turret.
Slowly Baron's up minions for another 50 seconds. A 1 minute push with 18 seconds onto Huhi means they really don't have too much to defend here. Darshan can't just jump into a pile of 5. They have to disperse TSM somehow. And TSM will do that on their own, walking out slowly after taking the bottom inhibitor. Now 10,000 gold in the lead, 25 minutes in.
I have to say, it is going to be hard for TSM to not go into playoffs being overconfident if they keep playing like this. It's not just that they're undefeated. It's that way that they dismantle their opponents in the game. If you have to actually look at the play, so complete is the victory. CLG right now trying to recover. They're going into that farm for late mode. They have a Zir to rely upon. They have a Jax that they need to get to his next breakpoint because a full item pretty much lead for Hanser plus 2 levels means that there's no way Darshan can stack up against him. Right now what you have to do is split push the opposite lane from Aurelia. But there's Bjergsen. He's in the opposite lane, and you get sniped.
Wow. Morello Namakan into that Abyssal Scepter and quickly into a Void Staff. 3-item LeBlanc. It looks like it's riding a bike for Bjergsen on the LB. First time of the summer, and it's just like it was before. Same as it ever was. 25 just over on the clock as it could be the second inhibitor turret going down. Counterlogic Gaming putting quite a bit of resources here to get each wave cleared. They really have Huhi to help on that. Stixxay can do what he can from the back, but he's got to get into a dangerous spot to help that wave get away.
Yep, TSM knocking at the doors from all sides. Bottom inhibitor already down, so they've got the extra pressure. Now there's a Mountain Drake coming up, but they don't really need that one to end the game. They're so far ahead right now. They'd probably just rather another Inferno. Oh, they're going for the 1v1. Too bad. 2v1. Still almost got him.
It feels so good when you can do that as any champion in the game. And right now, Hanser feels unstoppable. Darshan getting taken down by Bjergsen. Darshan just came back up. We saw him go down at red. He can almost provide nothing for the team here as he's been focused. After he got the first kill, we saw that happen onto Hanser. And TSM just said, nope, not again. We won't be fooled. We're taking the rest of the map in the next 20 minutes. And it seems like they've done so. 15-1. Possibly losing another here, 16-2 now as they also pick up one in the Retribution kill. The Nexus is the next thing to go down, and that's in the eyes of Team SoloMid. A sub-30-minute game to start off the rivalry in this best of 3, and TSM take down CLG in game 1.
My goodness.
Statement game.
An impressive victory there for TSM. And CLG, they need to regroup after that one. Yes, that was a very complete victory against CLG, but this is a best of 3 where that doesn't matter anymore going into game 2. You have to focus completely on game 2. There were positives for CLG in the very early stages. When Smithy was getting ahead in the jungle, he was a bit ahead on tempo, and then they started to have a couple of mistakes there, a lot centering around the split push with Darshan.
Yep.
And unable to recover from that point. So you have to start at the very beginning here from CLG because TSM, they've been an early game team. They have the fastest average game times and the most giant early game gold leads.
I know we have a lot to talk about. So does the analyst desk. We're going to let them do it first because we get all next game to talk about it. Now to review all the big moments from that TSM win, we're going to toss it back to the analyst.
Thank you very much, Riv. I mean, it was a quick one. It was a quick one, so there's only so many moments that we can reveal and go over since the game ended so in such a dominant fashion. TSM, when Reginald on the desk earlier was
60-40 was a little
well, that's the thing. I mean, I respect
generous.
that. I respect that because it does reflect the mindset of the team in that they're not going to walk in expecting, 100 to 0. We're for sure going to win this game. And it allows for performances like this, right? To respect your opponent, but still look dominant.
The players look up to him, and if he sets the bar for the mentality that the players need to have, they go in respecting their opponents, not getting too cocky. The performance is going to be more consistent. So
absolutely. Well, let's dive right into this one and kind of pick it apart. Let's look at champion select and start with that. It's funny at the beginning of the day you talk about, we don't see the Azir Zed matchups. We do see the Azir LeBlanc matchup in this one in the mid lane
But
today.
I think the reason why the LeBlanc came out is not for the matchup 1v1 itself, but for how LeBlanc can affect the side lanes, particularly because of Jax. So if you leave Jax open, CLG has shown they're going to take Jax into anything.
Right.
And Jax against LeBlanc is a very difficult matchup because when LeBlanc hits her spikes and she's able to roam to the side lanes very freely, Jax has no chance of defending against that. He can be dove, he can just be constantly punished. And we saw by the time they came to grouping, Bjergsen was just popping Darshan left, right, and he was unable to do that, and he wasn't even winning the 1v1 matchup.
Well, a big thing too is, he didn't take Ignite, right? It wasn't like he was like, I'm gonna go fight Huhi and kill him. He brought TP to assist in these 1v1 side lane fights that are gonna happen between an Aurelion and a Jax.
And that was just kind of the theme of the game for TSM, right? Was that it wasn't one individual player, as we see CLG on your screens now, kind of re-gearing for Game 2. They're going to have to diagnose what the issue was for them and come back stronger. But continuing on the TSM point, it really was this game, as most of their games are, this split about teamwork. It wasn't, I'm going to beat you in my lane. I'm going to, I'll beat this guy in my lane. And then we'll meet each other at the Nexus. This was very much a team effort, showcased very early on. Only 9 minutes into the game, we see First Blood come out in the mid lane, but it's because TSM, very smart response to aggression by CLG.
Right, I like how if you just look at the minimap right now, both teams are totally clumped up on the bot side in the river, and when Huhi starts going for this fight, you can see just how much faster TSM decides. I mean, obviously they have Sivir, but Smithy's still messing around on the red buff at this point. He didn't come with the rest of the team the way that TSM all moved together. He could have dropped that red buff to come to this fight and maybe help influence it. But TSM as a unit all move at the same time, and they all agree that you can get back to whatever else we might do later. Let's go fight this mid fight. And
well, that's the power of the Sivir ultimate. The collapse is going to be so much faster.
Well, it's always going to be faster, but the Smithy didn't even come. Right, he's still on his red buff. You can go to that fight and then go to your red buff or something. I don't think it's the right decision to, when a big fight's erupting, to split your team up.
Right, exactly. That's only one of the instances in which we kind of saw TSM outclassing CLG in terms of coordination. Another example of that, 18 minutes into the game, we see a dive top lane coordinated by TSM, and then very soon after, a couple kills bot lane.
Right, I mean, this is just such a good play by TSM. They crash the wave top lane. Honster starts the dive off. Sven finishes it off. That was extremely quick. Now Smithy's caught out of position with Bjergsen coming in from behind. They pick up these 2 quick kills, and because CLG's thinking that everyone's topside, they want to go really hard bottom. So Afro starts collapsing from the mid lane. Huhi's going to start making his way down. But even though they should win this 2v2, it'd still be close. But with the Bjergsen TP coming in, which CLG probably lost track of, it's just not going to be close at all. Double is able to kite out. Yeah, he had a monster spell shield on that stun.
It just kind of pays dividends to the theme that we're seeing a lot of these games where one team is ahead in the tempo. They're making the plays left, right, and center, and outclassing the other team. And instead of just kind of taking the loss and playing it a little bit slower, the other team just seems to kind of try to push back against that by making these really rash decisions and not really thinking things through, which happens time and time again in a lot of these matches. And it's showcased here by trying to go for that collapse without Huhi being there. Had Huhi preemptively moved towards the bot side and they would have started that as a 3v3, they could have easily won that fight. But because they're uncoordinated and rushed, it goes poorly.
TSM in their huddle now, looking forward to Game 2 after a 27-minute victory. They've got to be feeling good, but of course they need to make sure that they walk in, give their opponents the same respect that they did in Game 1. I'm sure that's what Weldon is helping remind them about in this brief respite that they have moving forward.
Well, I want to have to credit the coaching staff and the preparation quite a bit for this match because I really think the draft was really intelligent because you'd expect TSM to be picking the likes of Lucian, the Bard, or the Braum, or the
even the Nidalee for themselves.
Yeah, even the Nidalee, champions that they've played time and time again, but they completely opt out for something else that they know is going to be very effective against CLG. I mean, Huhi could have flashed out a Bard ult almost every time, but he never chose to and got punished for it.
Player of the game, Bjergsen on that LeBlanc. I mean, we talked about it, his ability to affect those side lanes, taking the TP, knowing that it's not about beating Huhi in the mid lane, it's about beating the entire map.
Yeah, I mean, before Bjergsen was the guy that would take Ignite on LeBlanc, and everybody would be like, well, I guess that's your problem, and then you got to deal with Bjergsen, and now everybody has to deal with him by TPing into their lane, so that's got to be scary playing against that.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that there were a lot of points in this game where CLG wasn't completely getting crushed, but then next thing you know, Bjergsen shows up, and it's a different story. So.
All right, well, that's just Game 1. CLG still has a chance to strike back, but TSM is looking dominant as ever. We've got to head to a short break before we get to that second game on the back end of this 3.5 minutes. Stick with us. We'll see you soon.